the surface, Lydia Elise Millen is beautiful, polished, and sophisticated. Her on-camera personality is charming and charismatic. And then when you see her on her YouTube channel interacting with her audience, it's easy to see why she has nearly 1 million subscribers. But have you ever taken a look at the comment section in any video related to Lydia Elise Millen? Or what about in the trenches of the internet, in the dozens of gossip threads? Have you ever taken a look at those? Because that tells a little bit of a different story. Lydia is a very polarizing figure. And what I find so fascinating about her is that she's both equally loved and equally hated. How can someone elicit so much passion on both ends of the spectrum? I really find Lydia fascinating because of that. Is Lydia really the beautiful and sophisticated vlogger we see and we want to love? Or is there another side of her that she maybe prefers to keep hidden? Is Lydia Elise Millen really a modern-day female Jekyll and Hyde? Or is she really just misunderstood? In this video, I'm going to dig into that, plus share some little-known facts on her journey to being a successful influencer. Lydia Elise Millen was born April 14th, 1988 in Watford, England, and she's the second of 3 children. Her parents got divorced and her father remarried, so she was eventually raised by her mom, where they all moved to Croxley Green, where Lydia, her older brother Vincent, and her younger sister Alice grew up. And Vincent will actually play a pivotal role in her development in a social media star, so stay tuned for that. As a child, Lydia was actually very naturally athletic, and she gravitated towards rugby, which really surprised me upon learning that, considering how prim and proper today she appears to be. She decided to go to the same junior high and high school as her brother Vincent, which in England is actually called secondary school. She wanted to be in the same school as her brother because having her big brother around really made her feel a little bit safer and more secure. Lydia continued to participate in sports throughout her secondary school, but in year 9, she actually stopped enjoying school. She did not have a lot of friends, and she really struggled to make and maintain any new friendships. Her studies really started to deteriorate, and interestingly enough, as an adult, Lydia actually feels a lot of shame and embarrassment around this part of her life. As her grades started to fall along with her happiness, her teachers started to write her off. She was actually even voted most likely to marry a football player, and she really didn't like it. She didn't like being seen as this girl that wasn't that good at school and not really taken seriously. She felt more pressure than ever to get out of that, to figure out what she wanted her life to be. So Lydia was thinking about a lot of these things, like who was she? What did she want to do with her life? What legacy did she want to leave behind? And at the time, when she was in school, Lydia didn't have answers to these questions, but she really did feel this pressure. And I don't know where this pressure came from. It might have come from her or outside pressure, but she had this immense pressure to really figure it out. And for me, I mean, no matter where you are on the spectrum of loving her or hate her, and let me know in the comments, like, do you love Lydia? Do you not like her? But no matter where you fall on that, I think everyone can really relate to these feelings of trying to figure out what you're born to do, what you're born to be on this earth for. For Lydia, she was as well. So going back to Lydia's story, Lydia had always had an interest in the beauty industry. She decided to enroll in beauty school after finishing her secondary school. But when she was in beauty school, she realized that while she loved what she was learning, she loved learning about beauty, she didn't actually want to work with clients. She just wanted to apply it to her own life. So she ended up dropping out of beauty school. Having just dropped out of beauty school, she got a job as a sales assistant at an independent fashion retail store in Watford called The End. And in this job in this fashion store, that's where the Lydia that we know and love today, she came to life. She loved every second of that retail job. And she didn't just love it, she was really, really good at it. Her coworkers would later say, when talking about her, that if they couldn't get something to sell, they knew that if Lydia were trying it on, or if they were to give it to Lydia, that item wouldn't just sell, it would sell out. Almost everything she wore from the shop would fly off of the shelves. Lydia had this knack for fashion. I mean, we see it today in her videos. In her time at the shop, she worked her way up to a buying assistant and a visual merchandising assistant, increasing and diversifying her experience and really solidifying both a passion and her natural talent for fashion. She continued to work at the shop, and she worked a variety of positions at other different stores, including French Connection, Arrogant Cat, and Topshop over the next few years, before she finally decided that in order to really kickstart a promising career in fashion, what she really needed was a university degree. After dropping out of beauty school and now working in retail, she decided that she wanted to enroll back in school. In 2009, at the age of 21, and also from pressure from her older brother Vincent, she eventually enrolled in school. And her brother felt that Northampton University was the perfect place for her. And so that's where she went. Her brother was right, because interestingly enough, and much to the relief of Lydia, she actually wasn't required to show her grades in order for her to get into that school. Instead, they accepted her resume, which showed all of that retail experience that she had in buying and in management. And Lydia really wanted to study fashion marketing in the university, but she actually ended up with a degree in business marketing instead. And by the time she was in that final year of school, her not studying fashion eventually caught up to her, because she realized she really wanted to study fashion, and she yearned for that creative outlet that fashion had given her. And once again, like she did in secondary school, she started to feel insecure about herself. She started to feel like a lot of fear and loneliness. She just didn't feel like she fit into school. And all of those feelings from secondary school came rushing back. And again, she went back to that phase of wondering what she wanted to do with her life, not feeling fulfilled, not feeling she was doing what she was supposed to be doing. So at this point, what did she do? Well, this is now when she started her now famous blog. She started that blog as a way to release the thoughts and feelings that were going on inside of her, that she was feeling a little unsure about herself. She was feeling not 100%. And she wanted to give herself this creative outlet that she really, really needed. Although she was being encouraged to start this blog, all of those memories of being made fun of and judged by her former classmates were always in the back of her mind. What would people think about her? What if they made fun of her for writing on this blog? I mean, remember, blogging wasn't like as big of a deal as it eventually became. And in the early 2010s, long before Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, all those social media platforms that we know of today, there was lookbook.nu. And if you've been around the block a few times on the internet, you might remember this platform. Let me know in the comments if that sounds familiar to you. But Lydia used it to actually drive traffic to her blog. And the more that she dove into this blog, the more that she spent time on it, the more she realized how much she loved it. And with this blog, she started off by posting things that she picked up from local thrift shops. She would take photos and she would write about these items and why she bought them and her thoughts on them and how to style them. And over time, she started to create accounts on all the different social media platforms. And she was inspired by other influencers like Sandra from 5inchandup.com and Audrey from befrasty.net. And she was inspired by them on how they were taking photos of their outfits and putting them on their websites. So Lydia took out her iPhone 4, what are we on now, like 13? Set up a rickety old tripod and she'd take pictures of herself. She'd take photos of herself in her outfits, which seems so normal today, right? I mean, we see everybody doing it. I mean, even people that aren't bloggers are doing it, but it wasn't so common then. And she was taking photos of herself in outfits whenever she felt like she had a great outfit put together. And while she was doing it, it felt good. It felt natural. But unfortunately, her fears about being judged, well, it actually came true to some extent at that point. She did get some haters. She did get people looking at her, wondering like, what are you doing? You have way too much time on your hand. Like, we don't care about what you're wearing. But despite how much she was afraid of getting this type of negative feedback, she eventually just ignored it. And at the time, she just wasn't discouraged because she felt like she was home. She felt like this is what she was supposed to be doing. And she was really, really passionate about it. She was doing this whole blog thing while she was still in school. And Lydia graduated from her university with the best grades that she'd ever had. And she would later say of her time at school at Northampton, she would say, quote, studying at the University of Northampton helped me understand branding in a strategic way and how to think of myself as an actual brand. And what I enjoyed most about my course was learning about the shifts from brick and mortar stores to online stores and the use of social media when doing so. So now Lydia's graduated, and while she waited for the opportunity to find her new dream job or figure out what job she wanted to do, she started working as a manager in a little fashion shop called UCLA Clothing in Watford. And she, of course, continued to work on her blog and put time into her blog. It was about a year later, a year into doing her blog, where she met one of the big main characters of her YouTube channel today, Ali. And if you know Lydia, then you know that Ali is her husband. You might know Ali, but maybe you know or don't know how the two of them met. So I will share that story for you right now, and I think it's really interesting. Where did they meet? Well, for Lydia, who is such a social media presence and has used social media to really build a career for herself, she met her future husband, Ali, on Instagram. I mean, being Lydia Elise, you need to find your Instagram husband on Instagram, right? So here's how it all went down. Ali strategically liked a photo of her iPad mini on Lydia's Instagram feed instead of liking a selfie. So he chose to like an inanimate object on an Instagram feed, but not a photo of Lydia. And Lydia noticed, and she started to follow him. And the two of them started DMing one another. After a little while, she noticed that he actually never followed her on Instagram in the first place. He was just DMing her and liking her photos. So she unfollowed him and stopped DMing him as well. He now ended up following her on Twitter. And he sent her a DM on Twitter saying, quote, "You had my feelings," meaning that it made him sad that when she stopped talking to him on Instagram. And so after this little game of cat and mouse, their actual relationship began. The relationship first started off as a long distance relationship, but he wasn't satisfied with this long distance thing. And he really wanted to see her more often. And a side note, Ali was a photographer, and they actually spent a lot of their time that they had together taking her photos, which Lydia wasn't crazy about because she didn't want to spend what little quality time that they had together taking photos for her blog. However, they both understood that her blog was growing at the time very, very quickly. And they both knew that the blog was going to turn into something probably pretty big. So they had this understanding and they had this agreement to devote some time to this, even if it meant the little time that they had together taking photos. They saw this as their future. And they both had this confidence and this faith that this time put into the blog would eventually pay off. And they were willing at this time to make that sacrifice. Lydia was eventually promoted to e-commerce manager at UCLA Clothing as she continued to chug along with her blog. I mean, this whole time she was still doing her blog on the side. And she would work her typical 9 to 5, and then she would spend her nights writing and editing, basically working on her blog. And then on the weekends, she would shoot her outfits. So at this time, she was working full time and she was working on her blog, and she sacrificed things. She sacrificed sleep, she sacrificed a social life to really fulfill this dream of this blog taking off. And her blog did continue to grow. And with more and more brand collaborations coming along and being a part of her blog, all of that hard work, it eventually paid off. And when she was presented with the opportunity to quit her day job for good, she did it. She took the plunge, and she's been a full-time influencer and content creator ever since. So Lydia's blog started as a fashion blog, but over time, she wanted to switch things up. She had other interests that she wanted to include on her blog. It wasn't just about fashion. And she wanted to include all these other interests in her lives, and also to be more of a reflection of her journey so far in her life. And over time, at this point, her blog was going to be really successful, and she moved into a bigger home, and she found that she really loved interior design as well. But at this time, bloggers were really still mainly niche. Like there was a fashion blog or a mom blog or a beauty blog, and branching out of her niche just wasn't something that people did. But Lydia didn't want to just be another fashion blogger. Even though she loved fashion, she wanted to expand beyond that, and she saw it as a way for her to stand out. And in 2014, she noticed that there was a shift in the social media landscape. Video. She had watched YouTube here and there, but she never really felt like YouTube was the platform for her. Lydia was a little insecure about being on video. She just wasn't sure how she would come across. She didn't know how her personality was. People were going to take it. And she was, again, afraid of how people would see her, of how they would judge her. And here's the thing, though, with video, as it compares to blogging, you really can't hide behind anything for video. You can't hide your mannerisms. And on YouTube, authenticity is critical. Everything about how you present yourself matters. Your energy matters. How you're feeling that day matters. I mean, you can get away with a lot on a blog that you can't get away with on video. With a blog, you can hide behind your written word. With YouTube, it's you. Lydia recognized that if she wanted to keep up with the times, keep up with the changing landscape of social media, she needed to get onto video. YouTube. And on November 5th of 2014, she posted her first YouTube video, and it was called Facts About Me, Why I Don't Squat. The quality of her video was actually pretty good, but she was really, really nervous. And you could see that nervousness, especially in her voice. However, the response from fans of her blog who came over to her YouTube channel was really, really positive. And this is something that she said she would never forget. And I mean, if you really think about it, it's interesting because she had this loyal group of followers who really only knew her based on what she wrote, based on her blog, from her in photographs and reading about her. They never really heard her talk. They'd never really seen her live, like on video. They never heard her voice. They never experienced her in real time, her personality. So it was almost like they were getting to know their favorite influencer in a whole new light, like all over again. And at first, when Lydia uploaded onto YouTube, she really didn't take it that seriously. She was still really focusing on her blog and her other platforms. And she wasn't really consistent either. But by January of 2016, despite that, she had 15,000 YouTube subscribers. And September of 2016, so only, like 8 or 9 months later, and less than 2 years after posting her first video, she had 200,000 YouTube subscribers. Her YouTube channel started to quickly surpass her blog. And now, 5 years later, today, she has nearly 900,000 YouTube subscribers. And her most viewed video is called My Healthy Morning Routine plus Workout Routine, which now has over 5.4 million views. Despite these really impressive numbers that Lydia has, she says that it was never about numbers for her. She preferred to focus on who was watching her videos rather than how many people were watching her videos. And today, in 2021, Lydia is still doing her blog and posting to YouTube regularly. Her content features makeup tutorials, product reviews, fashion vlogs, home decor, renovations, and so many different things, which is what she wanted. She didn't want to just be fashion. She wanted to be all lifestyle content. And even though she posts a lot of sponsored content, she is self-admittedly very, very picky over the different brands that she works with because she's so protective over what she does and what she wants to expose her audience to. She actually did an interview with me where she explained all about that. You want to check it out, and I will link it in the description as well. And I suggest checking it out, and you can hear a lot more about Lydia, how she works with brands. But according to Lydia,
I know that there are brands that have worked with people that have 1 million followers and then worked with someone who's got 50K, and actually the person with 50K has performed better than the person with 1 million followers in terms of engagement, in terms of ROI, and in terms of influence. And I guess that's what it all comes down to. There's a huge difference between just someone who has a load of followers and someone who actually has influence.
And since Lydia spent so many years focusing more on the who rather than how many, she has cultivated such an incredibly dedicated and loyal fan base. And these people know, like, and trust her. And they convert to sales for her and for all the different brands she works with. And she's also famous for her role as a brand ambassador for brands such as Wild Fox, Missguided, Urban Outfitters, L'Oreal, Saint Tropez, Tanning, By Terry, and a ton more. It's really, truly impressive, the types of brands and the sheer magnitude of brands that are chomping at the bit to work with Lydia and get in front of her audience. Lydia has acknowledged that people in the past have hated a lot on bloggers and vloggers, and they still do to this day. But now in the whole age of influencers, what she's doing now is a real, genuine, and desirable career path. She said, quote, "I think those looking for career paths forget the hours, weeks, years so many of us spent simply doing as a hobby, and I think that's the best way to start. To know that you love it enough to do it as a full-time job, because blogging takes the meaning of full-time to another level. There are no 40-hour weeks here." And I completely agree with her take on that here. I've interviewed so many women, and almost all of them started off their YouTube channel or whatever platform as a hobby, but with the intention of making it bigger. And they put hours upon hours of work prior to even getting paid. It's a tough gig. It's not easy. And people see Lydia and they think that it's all about the glam and the shopping and the unboxing and talking to a camera, putting on makeup. But there is so much more that goes on behind the scenes. And I give her and all the other full-time influencers a lot of credit for their hard work, their dedication, their grit, and commitment. And let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about all of that. So Lydia and her history and where she's at today, it sounds good. It sounds amazing, actually. She's beautiful. She has a story where she's worked hard to accomplish her dreams, and she's living her dream life and doing what she's passionate about. She's got her dream man, her dream career, her dream home. And if you're watching this and you don't really know much about Lydia, you're probably wondering, okay, she seems great. What's the catch? Why is there this like allegedly evil side of Lydia that so many people love to hate? So let's shift gears a little bit. So on June 25th, 2020, which if you remember correctly, I'm sure none of us have forgotten. It's about 3 months into the you-know-what pandemic. At this time, Lydia announced the launch of her first product, Glow by Lydia, also known as Glow. And according to her, it took 2 years of development. And this product consisted of a tanning kit that included exfoliating mitts and tan applicators presented in a vegan leather case. Despite it not actually including any tanning product, it was priced at 50 pounds, which in US dollars is like 70 bucks. 70 bucks for a tanning kit without tanning product. Her reasoning and justification for this was that
I didn't feel like I was at a stage where I was ready to bring something to the table that rivaled any other tans. What I wanted to do was develop something that helped you use the products that you already know and love, that work for your skin type, whatever that may be, and become a part of your routine. And that is how my kit from Glow was born, basically.
Hence the tanning accessories kit that Lydia came out with. I don't know about you, but I don't know about spending $70 on a tanning kit without tanning product, but that's just me. So Lydia announced the launch of this product on her YouTube channel. When she did that, she was pretty nervous. People noticed her nervousness and her uncertainty. She was visibly shaking. She lacked the normal confidence and authority that people were used to seeing in her videos. But despite all this, Lydia had a very successful launch and made many sales on that first day. But after that first day, then we saw the backlash. A lot of people thought that the product was overpriced, trying to pass these items that they thought she purchased off of AliExpress as these unique luxury items. And for the launch video on YouTube, the video had 2,000 thumbs down and 6,600 thumbs up. And the comment section was brutal. The comment section was full of people explaining why they wouldn't be purchasing the kit, how disappointed they were on this product, how they didn't like it. And to add fuel to the fire, there was virtually no customer service, and she was being called out left and right for that lack of customer service. And it got so bad that she turned off all the comments on all her social media, including the Instagram account for Glow. Plus, her team, they were constantly deleting all the negative comments about her product launch. Glow by Lydia has a 1.9 rating out of 5 stars on Trustpilot. One review even says, quote, "The products are extremely poor quality. I'm not sure how they're really getting away with charging what they do for these. I have had better drugstore products for a fraction of the price. Appalling." It's not good. As of now, Glow by Lydia's website is unavailable, and the Instagram page hasn't been updated since February 19th. And there really hasn't been any announcement whether Glow has gone out of business or if there'd be more products in the future. So on May 10th of 2021, nearly a year after the launch of Glow, Lydia released a video on her YouTube channel called Assumptions About Me, where she finally addressed what went on with her launch. In the video, Lydia admitted that she did not expect the negative feedback and that she loved every ounce of what she put into the brand. She still stands by it. She wanted to make sure that she created something that she stood by, which is why, according to her, it took 2 years of development. And she had every confidence that it would be successful. And to this day, she still loves her product. She stands by her product. In the video, Lydia never outright described Glow as a failure, but she does talk about turning the negatives into positives. She did admit, though, in the video that she was a sitting duck and she was not prepared mentally for what happened. And on top of the Glow debacle, there are rumors swirling around about how Lydia has been a bully. One Reddit thread describes how Lydia bullied her pregnant hairstylist and continued to slander and defame her for months before gaslighting her and making herself seem like she's a victim in this scenario. This hairstylist also addressed this in videos on her socials, but she never actually named the influencer. But most people were able to put 2 and 2 together. And as a result of that debacle, Lydia's subscribers left in droves. That she was a far cry from this beautiful and elegant person that they loved and worshipped for years. And that money and fame that came with her success completely changed her. When I interviewed Lydia nearly 2 years ago, she talked a lot about how picky she was when choosing brands to work with, and how a lot of people misinterpreted her pickiness as a cover for being stuck up and difficult, and someone who spends way too much time, energy, and resources in the meticulous control of her image and brand, which is evidenced by anything less than positive being deleted. Lydia, however, claims that her pickiness is because she's careful of who she wants to expose her audience to, and she claims to take great care and pride in her position as someone with a lot of influence. So in this video that I have right now, I just touched the tip of the iceberg on the polarizing nature of Lydia. She's beautiful, sweet. She has this loving relationship with her husband. She's stunning. She's aspirational. She's funny. And over the years, she's been a part of various YouTube dramas. Honestly, too many to count or include in this video, and that's not my goal here. But it has to make you wonder, who is Lydia? I don't know. And I don't think you or me, I don't think the people watching her, I don't think anybody really knows. My goal isn't to rehash all the drama, but to bring to light the interesting duality of a social influencer celebrity. Somebody that can, if they wanted, control every aspect of how they're presented in a way to look authentic, but in a controlled and curated way. And let me ask you, how many other influencers that you follow, that you watch, do you know who are like this? Or maybe you suspect are like this. They're perfect, and then stories start to get told about the behind-the-scenes behavior. The problem is, though, we don't really know what's true and what isn't. We fall in love with the person that we see, the personality that we've grown to love. But maybe it's not the whole person. It might just be the best of the best of what the influencer is willing to share, and the dark truths deliberately hidden out of sight, knowing that if they get out, their career and their image might be ruined. And then what happens when glimmers of the behind-the-scenes personality gets exposed? You get an all-out war by the fans in the comment section. You get videos. I mean, you get a ton of content just about that. People passionately denying that their favorite influencer is far from perfect. And other fans who are disappointed, who feel lied to and betrayed, and they turn on their favorite creator. And then there's this whole other group of people who never liked the influencer in the first place, and they see this as a golden opportunity to further tear to someone they don't like. But at the same time, how do we even know that these rumors are even true? Unfortunately, influencers are an easy target. They're vulnerable to made-up stories and flat-out lies that can completely ruin their career and their lives. They seemingly have this perfect life, and a lot of them have great lives. It's a great career. So it's natural that there's people out there who are jealous and they just want to see them crumble. That isn't right either or fair, and can be quite scary to have your entire life's work ruined by some rumors that maybe aren't true or maybe were completely exaggerated. So who is this real Lydia? Who is she? Is she really this narcissistic, very controlling monster that some people claim she is? Or is she the beautiful, aspirational, kind, generous angel that we see in her videos? Or is she just a flawed human like the rest of us, grappling with this constant pressure to deliver and live up to the image that people have of her? After the second, third, or fourth instance of drama that seems to have her in the center of it, it really makes you wonder if maybe that charming and sophisticated person on your YouTube screen is just a facade. And that once the camera is off, Lydia Elise Millen is someone else entirely. Lydia has so many diehard loyal fans that absolutely love her. But she also just has many people who don't. They go on the internet looking for any evidence that she's in fact a cruel and self-centered person. I've never seen so many passionate comments by people who truly despise her. I mean, really mean, and to be quite honest, just not appropriate stuff. Nobody deserves to see these types of things that people are saying. But what's so interesting is it's juxtaposed against people that love her, These people are in admiration of her. They're fawning over her. This level of polarization to me is just so fascinating with her. And you could argue and say that Lydia is an anomaly. Maybe we don't actually know who she really is. Part of what makes YouTube so appealing is authenticity and relatability. How authentic can it be if every aspect of her image is meticulously curated and controlled? As authentic and relatable as her videos seem to be, the real question is it? Is this the real Lydia? Or is this the Lydia that she wants you to see? So let me know where you fall in the comments below. Let me know if you love her, if you don't like her, if you used to like her, but now you're convinced she's not a good person, if you don't understand all the hate about her, where do you fall? And also about this topic of controlling yourself as an influencer, trying to control who people see and who is the real influencer. Are there aspects of people that should remain hidden? Is it their right to have privacy? What is it? Should the fans demand everything of people? Right? Where do you draw the line as an influencer? I mean, there's so much more that can be talked about this. But if you enjoy this, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button. And if you're new here, my name is Erika Vieira, and I do videos all about YouTube and talk about topics related to YouTube creators. So if you enjoy that, make sure you subscribe and let me know who else you would like me to do in the comments below. Mwah.